we can just go ahead.
Yeah,
We've got Mark Takata, who's a friend of the group, back, a senior evangelist for ColdFusion at Adobe, and he is going to review all the changes coming in, and not 2026 yet, but a 2025 update that's adding AI and a whole bunch of other stuff. So go ahead and take it away, Mark.
awesome. Thank you so much, Rick. All right, so there we go. Got my share up. Move this over, move my controls. Hello, good evening, morning, wherever everyone is going to be watching this on the repeat later. I know where all of you live, so it's afternoon for all of you. Welcome to my talk. I did a similar talk this morning, and I'm going to give pretty much the same talk with maybe a little more spice and fire this time around. So, what is today's talk about? The talk is about an update coming, and Rick kind of mentioned this a little bit, but I will expand on that. There is no such thing as ColdFusion 2026. Talked a little bit about this with Charlie this morning at the end of our talk. We're not doing a full engine reinstall. It means you're not going to be downloading a new thing, you're not a new executable, none of that. This is 2025 update, but as you'll see, this is probably the biggest update that you'll ever see. And the update includes not only new features and functionality in packages, but also we've got a bunch of updates to not the engine itself. So we're not ripping Tomcat out, we're not pulling the Java out, but we are fixing a ton of bugs. We're adding some language features directly into the engine itself. We're adding packages, lots and lots of things, administrator changes. So what I'm going to talk about today is upcoming webinars starting tomorrow morning, my time, that are going to deep dive into all of the stuff that you see there on the right. AI models, MCP, vector stores and RAG, PMT, security language performance. So without further ado, I'm just going to jump in and talk about it. So starting off tomorrow morning, April 15th at 10 a.m., should be PDT, not PST, because we're in daylight savings nonsense over here right now. Suchika Singh is going to be talking about AI models deep dive. Okay, it will be recorded. It will be on YouTube. So if you can make it, try and make it so you can ask questions. Can't, then that's okay. It'll be recorded so you can watch it on rewatch. Okay. So what are we doing? What are we adding? Like we're probably all using AI in some fashion, or we're capable of doing it today using things like just CFHTTP, like hitting an endpoint and sending stuff over. Well, that's not what I'm talking about. We're actually adding vendor neutral AI functions and functionality and code into ColdFusion. Currently, we've got support for OpenAI, Anthropic, Mistral, Azure OpenAI, Gemini, Olama. The individual models you'll have to ask, and honestly, I think they're going to change down the road. Everything changes. I swear, like every hour, I sneeze and they've released a new model. So I think we're trying to align as close as possible with our go-to-market and what happens to be there that we can put in and test, and obviously like smoke test and make sure that it works and all that. But again, you're like, well, okay, that just still sounds like you're just like hitting it. What's the difference? Well, the difference is that it's write once, use anywhere. So these models, LLMs, generally speaking, work in very, very similar ways. You send them, depending on which model and the complexity of your task, you might be sending them a struct, you might be sending them JSON, but the contents of those are pretty much identical or very, very close across. There's enough differentiation where you couldn't just use the same code, but there's enough for us to abstract it. And that's what we've done. So if you're using OpenAI and their pricing model changes, or there's a security concern at your company where they no longer match what your company does, and your boss's boss's boss calls you at 2 a.m. on Saturday morning and says, we're moving to the Anthropic models. And you go, great, I'm not sleeping for the next 2 months. Well, actually, you are, because it's just a configuration change. You change your config, you smoke test it, you make sure everything's going good. You go and you grab a coffee and you read the morning paper and you're fine. So it's a pretty big deal. There's really two main ways that you interact with this. There's two main big kind of overarching functions. There's something called chat model. It's an actual function called chat model. And there's something called agent. Chat model is the simple way in. It doesn't take a struct. It just takes a little bit of it takes your auth and your text. So if you want to build something that just asks a very simple question that doesn't require things like personas and all of that, you can use chat model. If you require more complexity, we're putting in agent, and that's persona, memory, tool execution, plugging into RAG, things like that. And of course, RAG, well, I'll talk a little bit about it. We have a specific section, a specific talk on RAG itself. I'm explaining what that is for folks who are not aware of what it means. But generally speaking, RAG involves things like document ingestion, retrieval of data, things like that. So what else is she going to talk about? Well, if you have chat, you probably want the chat to remember what you just talked about, I'd imagine, right? Because you want to say like, oh, I have this van. Could you tell me about it? Two separate sentences, two separate things. If you didn't have memory, it wouldn't know what the heck you were talking about in your second thing. With memory, it'll go, oh, you talked about a van. Now you're referencing it means van. Now you can actually have a conversation. It's conversational AI, essentially. But, there's a lot of different ways to do that. And we're offering access to a multitude of different things, depending on how big this scales, depending how big your apps are, how many users, concurrent users, things like that. There's in-memory, there's Redis, Memcache, EHCache. There's stuff that you can scale to the nines, depending how big your credit card bill wants to be at the end of the month. Now, the other thing about this, on top of it being a write once, use anywhere functionality, is that you already have apps, right? Theoretically, you have ColdFusion apps already running. This addition is aware of things like your CFCs. It uses functions and structures and scaffolding that you are already using and be familiar with. So you can have it instantiate a CFC directly from inside the function through a callback. Like it's built in. This is not a layer of glitter on top of your cupcake. Like this is a layer of the cake inside of it that's being built up. And on top of that, we're also adding admin UI and API. So you can script a lot of this stuff, things like configuration, validation, authentication, governance. All of that can be scripted, or it can be done inside of the admin UI by people who you're granting access to that level of access, right? Not every programmer should have the keys to the castle, depending on, like you get a junior, you don't want them to spend 10 million tokens on Claude trying to figure out which shoes to put on, right? Whatever it is, like they don't know. They need to learn, right? And so maybe you don't give them all access to all these things, but you still need to do it. And you need to do it in a way that you can govern and lock out. All right, up next, Model Context Protocol, MCP. Hopefully everyone is generally aware of it. If not, I'll talk a little bit about it. So Piyush, this is on April 16th, so the day after tomorrow, my time, 10 a.m. PDT. Should have fixed that since this morning. Charlie's going to make fun of me because I had the same complaints in the morning. This will be recorded. This will be on YouTube. So what is MCP? Well, MCP creates a layer between the agentic internet, all the AIs out there looking to do things with your site and with your apps, and your application. And it does it in a controlled manner. It allows that AI to come in, that agent to come in and discover what tools are available, what prompts are available, and what it can do. Basically, there's discovery, invocation, like being able to reuse prompts, for example, that will functionally give it what you want it to get. And it's really a bridge from just kind of like plugging in a feature here or there or somewhere and actual like real workflows. Like real additions to your app that work inside of this new world that we've all been sucked into, whether we like it or not. Um, and also it's auditable, it's loggable, like it's a layer that you can keep an eye on. Now you can do this two ways, right? You can consume applications via their MCP interfaces. In a way, you can kind of think of them as APIs for agents, right? So you can build an agent inside of your ColdFusion code that goes out and goes to an MCP server somewhere and consumes what it gives you, right? Figures out what the tooling is, pulls stuff back. And we allow that over both HTTP and streaming HTTP, which is an addition that I'll talk about in a little bit, or Studio. Now, the other side is also true. You can expose your application via server to expose tooling, resources, prompts, things like that to external agents to come in, like I just mentioned, to control what they can see, what they can do, how all of it functions. So yeah, this was really important that we were able to do both sides of it. I think that was a clear need. It was kind of table stakes. Piyush is going to go into depth on all this, but we've got kind of the menu, the normal menu of things that you can do. You can list and call tools. You can list and read resources, prompts. You can hit prompts, routes, logging, as I mentioned. You probably don't want to log stuff at your application layer, your deep application layer anymore, because it might not make sense. You want to know what your MCP is transferring through itself. It's a membrane, essentially, right? It's a layer. You want to know what's coming in and out of that directly. So we have specific logging patterns for that. He's going to talk about that. And other things like governance and actual design. There's tons of code samples. All these, by the way, all these talks this week and next week, they're all just like pretty code heavy, except for a couple which are like sort of esoteric, a little higher end stuff. Okay. Speaking of tech heavy, Pujita and Prashant are going to be talking on vector stores and RAG. And this is a place where I think a lot of developers in the ColdFusion community or outside of it are going to struggle, because what a vector store actually is not something a lot of us have had to deal with before. People say it's like a database, and it kind of is, but it doesn't store data, it stores vectors. What are vectors? So vectors are essentially the relationships between data points inside of an LLM-ish. That's as simple as I can put it. They're very complex. They're multidimensional. They make LLMs work. Well, you've never heard of them, maybe, because we never had to worry about them when we were hitting these other sites out in the internet. We go to ChatGPT and say, what color should I do my hair today? Whatever. And it would tell you, and you never have to deal with that. But what if we want to build our own? Well, then we need to work with vector stores, especially if we're going to do retrieval augmented generation, which is what RAG stands for. RAG requires you to build out your own vector stores with all of the data so that your chatbot or your other agentic interface can go out and grab the correct information specific to your use case. So again, this is a core platform introduction. It's not something you're slapping on with Velcro on the side of your app. Like this is deeply integrated into your app. And we are supporting out of the box 4 professional grade vector stores. So Pinecone, Chroma, Quadrant, and Milvus. Some of these are enterprise class, some are open source. The one that I love is the in-memory one. So the in-memory one is not really to be used for production. Not what it's for. It's for when you want to play and build something out, build a proof of concept. And you don't want to have to go out and spin up a new Pinecone and get all the auth and then import that auth and get it, blah, 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 all that stuff. You just say new vector store and hope that you have a nice laptop. And then you pull in, like maybe you want to do a simple RAG, grab a couple of documents, drop them in, and you're off to the races. I love that because once you have that and it's running and you're like, cool, this functions, it works, cool. You can take that and change your configuration over to that professional enterprise grade vector store. Done. This is really this is the backbone for doing like grounded, more accurate semantic search recommendations, and of course, retrieval augmented generation. Again, I mentioned all of this is tied in together. So agent is not just for the LLM part of it. It's not just for dealing with chat type stuff. Agent also enables ingestion and retrieval pipelines for RAG and for pushing stuff up into your vector store. So it's all kind of built in. It's all in one. You're just giving it different data. You're giving it different configuration settings, and behind the scenes, it's doing all of the things that you need it to do. Query routing, transformation, aggregation, all of that stuff, injection, memory, they're all configurable directly in the code. This is not fair. People are not doing just simple demos with this stuff. People are actually building stuff out right now, but it still feels cobbled together a little bit. Not anymore. Now, the part that's always been hard, or it has been hard until now, is building out the RAG itself, like actually getting stuff up from document to a vector and then pulling that back. We're making it easy. So we're adding a bunch of different ways to throw a document up into this, lazy loading, parallel loading, async, URL, all of that. You can use any and all of that to pull stuff in. And the supported document formats are now beyond text only. If you have questions about that, ask the team on this date, and they'll be able to tell you. Again, that may change as we're going in. Where I think we want to put as many different types in there as possible. The really fun part of this is there is a workflow here that allows you to do a lot of this without writing a single line of code. Like you can go through the administrator and pull in documents into a vector store and create a no-code path to a knowledge base. So that's a really neat feature. I actually just learned about that like last week because these guys just like, hey, by the way, we're doing this really awesome thing. Like, okay, right on. All right. April 21st, Sandeep and Datu, my buddy Datu, is doing, they're doing PMT and VS Code extension. So PMT is the performance monitoring toolset. It comes free with your ColdFusion, as long as it's not like ColdFusion 9. Hope you're not using that anymore. Modern ColdFusion, it comes free with it. It's an observability platform. It's awesome. It does a lot. It's not Fusion Reactor. Obviously, we love those guys. Fusion Reactor is an awesome product, but you got to pay a little extra to use that inside of there. And sometimes it's a little overkill for what you might need. You might just want to do some observability stuff, a little debugging. You've got that. So we're updating that. The VS Code extension is something we released a while back, and I will cop to the fact that it wasn't great when we launched it. It had some issues. It wasn't ideal. We've done a lot of work on it since then. The team has been like working their butts off, trying to get this thing working, running, functioning well. And in my opinion, I think they've done an amazing job. I use it. It's great. And we're continuing to update it. So if you haven't used it in a long time because you didn't like it, give this one a try. We're reducing a lot of difficulties in trying to set it up. That's been an issue for people, and we've been trying to like make the developer experience better there. So less setup friction, more immediate productivity. That's a big one. So workspace mechanics are gone as far as you know it. They're still happening in the background. That was one of the big things, like having to set up multiple layers of workspaces and projects and weird things like that was unusual for people coming from both sides. Like it was this weird center area where no one was happy. People who were coming from Builder are like, why are there other things there? People coming from VS Code were like, wait, what's this additional? What? Why do I have to like create this layer? And then it like seemed to never work. You had to pick anyway. So that's all in the background now. It does it automatically for you. You don't have to worry about it. It's nice. It makes it much easier. Um, the PMT, this is really it's this line does a lot of heavy lifting. So the PMT is adding AI service monitoring. So all this AI stuff that we're adding, the observability platform is going to be able to watch that, keep an eye on it, log it, do all the things that it normally does. And then the big thing here is I love documentation. I do. I admit it. My name is Mark Takata, and I love documentation because I was an English major in college, so I do like it. Um, but our docs were not that awesome for a while. It's been kind of like not great. And thank you again, Charlie. I said this morning. I'll say it again. Thank you, Charlie, for doing the work to continue to kind of whomp us on the behind to keep working on getting the documentation fixed and better and repaired. Um, this is a full end-to-end revamp. Like we are no longer going to be in the HelpX product. That's out. We just determined that that was a dead end. There was nothing we could do to improve that very much further than what we had already. We're using a product called Guides. It's also an Adobe product. It's one of our like sister organizations in our group. So we have really, really tight ties. Our leadership is their leadership. So like we can like yell at their engineers to fix something if we need to, which is nice. And yeah, I'll talk a little bit about that in a slide coming up. So back to VS Code extension, it's not just the developer experience, it's other things too. So there's code assistant improvements, multi-line literals, things like that. Get a little more reliability in the way that they interact with IntelliSense. It's kind of nice. And then it's been a while, and I'm so sorry that it's taken so long. Docker is becoming a first-class server target for things like debug, RDS, all that. And Linux is now officially supported. So those of you that develop on Linux, that your machine that you dev on is not a Mac and it's not a Windows, you weirdos. No, I'm kidding. Love you. Those folks can now, it all works and it all runs and it's great. So things like you can also support it supports things like remote SSH, WSL, all that. So and then the last thing, big bug fix. There were a lot of just there were a ton of little annoyances with parsing and formatting and localization, just kind of all over the place, and we've knocked those out. I don't remember the count, but it's huge. So that's also getting fixed, which I love. All right, back to docs. So all new backend system using the guides architecture. It's much easier to use. The search is much better, and it kind of looks better, which shouldn't matter, right? Like, who cares what it looks like? But it kind of matters. Like when I'm sitting there like reading through stuff, I want it to look good too, be easy to read, easy on the eyes, and it is. It looks fantastic, modern, wonderful. And the big thing here is out of the box MCP support. So you can plug in if you're running Cursor or whatever, your AI enabled IDE, whatever the short term for that is, you can plug an MCP server directly into it right from here. So now you don't have to just hope and pray and sacrifice a chicken to make sure that maybe it's using the right formatting and code and all that. Like you're literally telling you these are the docs for the stuff that I'm writing. Use those. And I have it running. It works great. All right. April 22nd. Megan and Rochelle are talking about security, 10 a.m. PDT. I did fix it there. So one new addition, one big one, which is really cool, is we're adding passkeys. Everybody know what passkeys are? They're awesome. That's what they are. Passwordless sign-ins. So we're adding WebAuthn and FIDO2 passwordless sign-in to your ColdFusion apps. This has been an ask for a while. I know there's a member of the community that built out a whole package for this for older versions. James, he built that out, and it's been popular. People really loved it. I was super happy to see him do that. But for those folks that want it built in, who can't use external packages for whatever reason because they need it, They need their muckety mucks or upper crust folks to look at the stuff and say, okay, you can use that. Universities love to do that to you. Fun. It's all built into CF now. And then there's a new unified password hashing API that defaults to Argon 2. But if you're using bcrypt or scrypt, you still can use that as well. Security Analyzer. Not sure if you use Security Analyzer or not. Sometimes folks use it once in a while because it's been kind of slow, especially on big code sets. It hasn't scaled well, and that could make it kind of a bear to use, especially like automated things. So we've sped things up. We've improved accuracy, we expanded rule coverage, and the big one, the one right there in the center, it now calls out unscoped variable risks. Sorry that took so long, but there we go. Now we have a way for folks who are modernizing their systems, making sure that they are scoping the variables. Now, should you have been scoping your variables before? Yes. If anybody wants to argue, I could sit down with a beer with them and talk about why you should have been scoping your variables since 1997, but that's okay. I understand sometimes we don't do it. We want to code faster. I had a teacher who was a little bit like, going to do it. And so I've always kind of done it. I was surprised to see so many folks out there with the problem that when we put that out there, their entire code set broke and they had 30,000 lines of code that they needed to change. And they didn't know where those 30,000 lines of code were in their 500,000 line of code application. So Pete from Foundio, love them. They have a tool. If you're using any of their tooling, they have a tool that calls this stuff out. But now you'll be able to do it inside of Security Analyzer, which already comes with your ColdFusion and is usable with your CF. In addition to Security Analyzer stuff, we're also adding some AI guardrailing. So configurable validation before and after model calls, just to reduce some risk. So that's a separate but related security thing we're adding. And the big one, this doesn't get enough love. So ColdFusion wouldn't be what it is without all the OEM libraries that underlie it. We have hundreds of libraries. And it's a lot of work keeping all of those libraries up to date. This is a big refresh. It's a long span of foundational libraries that are getting upgraded to the latest version. So we're going to see performance increases, stability increases, all that good stuff. I should point out if there were OEMs libraries that were having like severe security risks, we would have fixed those already. But minor security problems are also going to be fixed in here as well. And as I said before, Security Analyzer performance is much improved, so you can actually make regular scanning more realistic and part of your SDLC. All right, last one, folks. Ashu and Vikas on April 23rd at 10 a.m. PDT are going to talk about language and performance. So this is mainly a language talk, and Vikas is doing a little tiny bit on the end of it with performance. And by the way, there's the list of performance, the list of language updates and features is huge. I've just kind of picked out a few to talk about. So the big one here, run async. Now it sits on computable, I can't even say this. I had trouble saying it this morning. Completable future semantics. Yeah. And that's just cleaner coordination, more modern. It helps with things like chaining behavior, timeouts, things like that. And as I mentioned earlier, this was really popular. People were so excited. I think someone sent me flowers. CFHTTP gains streaming and SSE support for more real-time integration patterns. Yay! Super cool, super fun. And just some quality of life stuff. Sets, struct entries, query is empty, array find last, list find last. For those of you that went to my foundation series and watched all of the things I had on arrays and lists and queries and all of that type of stuff, you all already know we have tons of built-in functions to help you code in a modern way. So we're adding a few more just to fill in a couple of slots. And we're also adding some helpers for callbacks, closures, rounding, metadata, just to make CFML little bit easier to code in, CS script, I should say. And so there were a couple of bug fixes or potential issues. There was a concurrency pitfall. So there was an edge case race condition that occurred with ternary and Elvis literal behaviors. So those were not happening often, but possible. So we've solved that issue. And we've done a lot of work inside of QQ, exception handling, JVM compatibility flags, things like that. And just a ton of bug fixes again. Like, so as I mentioned before, this is we're calling this an update. It's still ColdFusion 2025.08 or whatever number we end up with at the end of the day. But it's really a full boat in a trench coat here. It's a whole thing in a trench coat for folks. So it's definitely it's worth the money. Oh wait, you're a subscriber if you're getting this, so you're already paying for it. So you just get what you're paying for. And finally, Vikas is going to spend about 20 minutes, I think he said, so probably expect 30 to 40, on talking about performance of the new update. So significant speed additions, and we're bringing receipts. We've got benchmark results against a bunch of engines, and spoiler alert, we're fast. So you wanted it, you're getting it. You're getting speed. Okay, so that's the talk. Now, I always promise Rick that I'm going to bring something out and give a little sneak peek to something no one else has seen, because I love you guys. I love that you do all the work to maintain a ColdFusion user group. There's not a lot of CFUGs around anymore, so I want to support you. I want to kind of show you. So you guys want to see something cool and new that you haven't really heard of before? Yeah? Okay. So you may have heard of this little tool called CF Fiddle. I believe we released CF Fiddle in 2016, I think. I think that's when we first got it. And then we pretty much didn't touch it since then. We've obviously updated the engine behind the scenes. We fixed bugs. We've kept it running. Well, welcome to the new CF Fiddle. So this is obviously a mock-up. So I've been involved in this. We've not really announced it yet. We're still working on it. The target is to launch this alongside of CF 2025 update. And it's a big update. The things that you can do with this. So first of all, it's fully AI enabled. Hopefully we'll be able to get everything to run. Fingers crossed. This is a very difficult. It's not trivial to get this running. So if all the features don't come in, don't yell at me, because we're struggling a little bit to find a balance between allowing you to do things and not having people take the server down because they decided to put War and Peace into a RAG. Don't get any funny ideas. The nice thing about this, the difference about this is your homepage. This is what you come into, and if you want to, you can just hit just code, and that's the same functionality. It looks better than it did before. It's got themes and things like that. But the big difference comes when you log in, and when you log in, you can create projects, and those projects can have templates. And those templates are full sets of working code. And the ones that it's going to ship with are all AI. So working basic chatbots, simple RAGs, MCP client connectors, MCP server connectors over the top of a basic application to show you how, in working code that's running right there in your browser, to build this stuff out yourselves instead of having to go through the documentation and all that. But if you want to hit the documentation, you get to it from right here. So there's a couple places. So we've got some, and this shouldn't say helpx. That stuck in there from before. It's guides. Or you can go in and search the ColdFusion docs, and you can get to all of our community places. So there you go. First folks outside of Adobe to see all of that. And I actually did the front end design on this. I did the UI UX CSS JavaScript stuff. The backend is being handled by a team from the engineering team who's kind of a special project. So we've been working together on this for the last few months. But there you go. Okay. Ta-da. So what was that? 30, 35 minutes. I went a little faster this time
Say just
than
as
this morning.
promised.
Yeah. Yep. So not a ton today. The other things are 90 minutes, by the way. So every talk starting tomorrow is 90 minutes. And if I know these guys, that's probably underselling it. It may go longer than 90 because like this is deep, complex stuff. And they're not just like, oh, by the way, you can make a chatbot. Like they're like, here you go. Here's all the code that we're using to like build this out and make it all work. And this is how you ingest, and this is all of the different options. Like they're going for it deeply. So you'll enjoy that. I'm going to be sitting there with my popcorn, like watching it myself, because I've gotten to play with this stuff, but I haven't gotten nearly as deep as these guys have. I built a couple of little apps out here and there, but so anyway, I've got a little bit of time. I probably have like 10 minutes before I need to grab. Oh God, I think I may ride. It looks really nice outside. I'm going to throw my armor on and pull start my motorcycle, go do a wheelie down the freeway. I don't wheelie. All right. Hit me with
So,
your questions
so
because I know
one of
they're
the
there.
questions I had, and I think Rick followed up on it too, is there the ability to add additional vector database types to the system? Like in, for regular databases or RDMSs, you can do like the JDBC driver and away you go. Is that extensible the
Yeah,
same way?
they don't no, they don't work that way. You can so I think bring that question to the vector talk because I know we're okay. So it's a little more complex. The problem is that these vector DBs don't have the same kind of like generic interfaces that databases over time have, generally speaking, like created. And it's a similar problem to a lot of the NoSQL databases, right? Like for a while, you could just use like generic Java-based interaction mechanics to hit DBs, and they all were kind of standardized. And then we got 12 billion different NoSQL databases, all of whom talk to us differently. Roach talked different um, from the ones on AWS and
Like
Dynamo and all
CouchDB and all
those.
those, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they were all different. And so unfortunately, everyone is sort of doing things their own way right now because this is new. Like this is brand new. Like it still has the new database smell uh, on a lot of these guys. So, however, I do know one thing I did mention to Charlie this morning also is we are planning another update, and fingers crossed it happens later this year. The team is there's already like teams working really hard on getting that stuff. So we're continuing to do like a pretty fast cadence of updating stuff. I believe in that we will probably update some of the LLM things that we're supporting and maybe vector DBs as well. You can always hit vector DBs externally using their API interfaces or things like that, which is what you're trying not to do by using CF, right? Like that's why we're so deeply integrating this stuff. I don't think there is a way to just sort of generically add something because we don't have a way to drop that interface into the system at the moment. But I could be wrong, so I would definitely ask the team at the thing.
Okay.
I
Yeah, I
wish
mean,
there was.
the two that I've been running across so far are going to be like Postgres with PG Vector and Cassandra for some reason, but
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I
which
know. Like my SQL, I think has their own vector store too.
I think they're defaulting to Oracle. I know Maria
Are they?
does.
Oh, maybe Mario. Okay. Yeah, I've seen a couple around. And honestly, I couldn't tell you why these are the ones that we picked necessarily, other than that's what our research came back with, that our customers are using. Like those are the ones that were most popular amongst folks that are interested and in the market. So, but I mean, hey, yell at them. if you want those, this is the time. Ask them. We're still developing. This is not done. Like, it's still cooking. The pot is still on boil. So yeah. Right.
Mark, go,
Yeah.
Sorry, Rick.
yeah. Is there any chance, I'm trying to be very polite, that we will see serverless support for ColdFusion anytime soon?
In what way? You mean
Similar to what
Lambdas?
they had and pulled back?
Probably not. Lambda usage has dropped so much amongst our customers that it's no longer it's literally at like 0% in all of the polls that we do for folks. Now, having said that, before you pitchfork me into a wall, you can run serverless CF inside of containers. So serverless containers I've actually found to have pretty nice performance. So like I know Google has a really nice container that spins up in milliseconds, that you can kind of build out your own stuff and hit, and it has a really nice free window that you just need you basically have to, getting to it is a little bit of a pain the first time because you have to push your Docker up into their system and then set that system to be what you want, and then you set like how many CPUs are you allowing, how many connectors are you allowing per instance, and then how much are you willing to pay per month if you go over their free tier. But then you can hit it. In fact, Aaron Rouse, if you want to learn a little more about that, do you know Aaron? Rick, have you heard? So Aaron is well, these days he's actually a senior AI architect over there. But back in the day, he was a ColdFusion dev. So he's sort of my man on the inside at Google. And he has built out entire systems using serverless, stateless ColdFusion containers, where he's also using Firebase to do all of the session management for them. So he's actually building out like these really, really neat, highly performant, like dead unless being used systems, so they don't cost anything, using their internal stuff. So
Is
if
it
you're
open
interested,
source?
is what open source?
What he's built?
Yeah. Yeah. Just ask him; he'll give it to you.
Okay, just if you can send me his email, I'll get a hold of him.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah,
switch
yeah.
here
He's
because I
great.
know we got a lot of people with questions. Is the MCP server, is the source in CFML, or are you merely calling Java?
Oh, that's a good question. I believe it's using a Java library, but
Okay.
don't quote me on
There
that. I'm
are a
pretty
couple
sure. Yeah.
open source MCP servers, by the way, out there, but
I think maybe it's one of those. So I was not involved in that particular thing as a coder, unfortunately. So I don't know the exact answer, but knowing the way we build things out, we probably are using an open source library and then integrating it and adding our own abstraction layer on top of it to pull it into CF. That
okay.
would be, I'd
Also
bet money.
consider asking them to support the Chinese open source AI libraries. Now that Facebook has gone closed source, they're the ball game. And there are companies that are running, I can't think of the name of it, it's Nummy or something like that. Got two
Oh.
M's in it, and DeepSeek to cut down on cost. I saw an interview today with the CTO of Uber, and he
Hmm.
thought he had everything planned out in December for their budget, and they've blown through their budget the first 100 days of the year. And he says, I don't know what to do because
Mm.
unless I get them more money, I'm going to have to tell my developers they can't use AI for the rest of the year. So I'm
Yeah.
told that the Nummy one is pretty good with coding.
Yeah. I think so. This is a bit of a fuzzy area. The answer that I can give to that is we will do what Adobe's policies allow us to do.
Okay.
So there's certain areas of the world with which we do business in a limited and controlled fashion, and support things from those regions in a particular way. It's about all I can say. It starts getting into like there's a little red dot on my head from the legal team that's on the roof across the street about to take
Gotcha.
me out for going in that. But yeah, so that starts getting into spaces that we may be a bit fuzzy on. But listen, if there's an enterprise need for that stuff, um, then maybe.
Okay.
Maybe that, we follow the market, I think, at the end of the day. And obviously we have to do it within legal parameters. You also have to consider that many, many, many of our customers are US government, which I can guarantee you is not going to use, a Chinese derived AI or system. It's just not going to happen.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
Well, Lansing,
So
I'm running across more and more people that have started to run local, which like 3 months ago, you'd have thought you were really a
yeah,
pretty hardcore geek to even consider it. But
I got a model running down there,
okay.
behind me. Yeah. So
Um,
this does support local. So yes, the answer to your question that you're about to ask is
yeah.
yes. You
Um,
can run local models.
just one suggestion, polite for CF Fiddle. If I
Yeah.
sign in, it shouldn't ask me to sign in for another 30 days. If Microsoft can manage it for GitHub, I'm sure you guys, that's something that really annoys me. I mean, I'll
Yeah.
sign into it and then 3 or 4 hours later, it asks me to sign in again. And I don't understand why they do that. And it just
I'll
pushes
mention
me
that.
to your competitors.
Yeah, no, I'll mention that. And that's a good point too. So we're using, so I didn't mention this before when I was showing it. So we're going to allow, as far as I know, this is again, don't hurt me if this doesn't launch, but we're going to do Facebook, Google, and I believe Apple IDs to allow you to keep to basically like maintain that. And I'll talk to them about how long you stay logged in for on those. So because yeah, I agree with that. I kind of would prefer to just like show up and be able to use it, right?
Right. Go over to another tab.
Yeah.
So I know Randy had some questions. And if you want to take it next, Randy, go ahead.
Thanks a lot, Rick. I got two questions for you, Mark.
Okay.
So CF Query has always been like the staple tag as far as Cold Fusion. And I remember the old days,
We
like
love it.
ASP Classic, and I was like, what am I doing with this when this does it a lot easier as
Yeah.
abstraction for me to connect the data, get data back, dump it out, and all that great stuff. I'm wondering
Oh
with
yeah.
all this AI integration, what's it going to be and what does the future look like? What do you guys see being that flagship tag or integration where developers are like, I can't live without this?
Agent. It's going to be agent.
Okay.
The agent functionality is like it's all you need. You can pretty much run your entire thing just instantiating agent over and over again in different ways to get exactly what you want. It's beautiful. So it's going to be agent. Um,
Said with
yeah,
confidence, it's going to be. Yes.
well, yeah, because I know I know where we're going with that one. The update later in this year is going to vastly expand the usage and capability of the agent function. So even today, it's amazing. And by the way, for all of you, if you want to be part of the beta, it's open. Like you can go and be part of the you can be part of the beta, the open beta. So if you're not already, definitely jump in there. Um, I don't know if I have the thing, but if you're not, I can send the whatchamacallit.
I just sent it.
Did you? Oh, beautiful. Awesome. Thank you, Charlie. So yeah, you can go out and try a lot of this stuff right now. It's out there. And also the docs. That's actually maybe even more interesting and exciting is all the docs are on there and they're very thorough. So you can really see what the stuff is coming. But sorry, I'm ranting. You had another question, Randy?
Yeah, the other question, I mean, I've been living through this like upgrade nightmare with Adobe. And initially, and I think it was something I watched where they were talking about Adobe ColdFusion 2026. And no, I didn't hear about the announcement. I've been doing some other stuff around the house. Regarding like 2025, it's been hard for me to even get pricing from an EDU standpoint. Even my reseller, she sent me like three different prices, and I'm just like, what the hell is going on? I don't know if I'm gonna be able to afford this moving forward or
Mm.
not. I was just airing that right there. Like, hopefully, there's more clarification around that. Is it all going? I mean, is there going to be an on-prem version? Is it all going to be cloud? Is there ever going to be a 2026 or just going to be like upgrade in place, whatever, whether if it's 23 or 25?
Gotcha. I can cover that last thing. Pricing stuff, I'm just not allowed to talk about. Period. I just get I keep
Right.
getting yelled at. So, but I can connect you, Randy, like privately. I've got if your reseller's not giving you the answers that you need, I can connect you to someone that can give you definitive answers. But as far as the upgrade path, so this is actually a really important thing. As you know, we moved to a subscription model for everyone. We were on a subscription model for enterprise for a long time. ETLAs were a fixed length subscription. And now everyone is just on an open subscription, paid yearly. One of the big reasons that we did that, outside of Adobe made us, is so that we could continue to do yearly updates, and not just big updates like upgrades, but like little things. So this one was supposed to be smaller than it was, and it got away from us a little bit. This is bigger than I think we were expecting, just because it's so awesome. But something to note about this one is this is not an engine rebuild. Like when you install this, you're not downloading something, you're not, double clicking on an executable, replacing everything, having to reset everything back up. This is, you go to the tab in administrator and update, or you go to the CLI and you update, and it goes and it pulls down the file to upgrade, to update the engine, and then it pulls down a few packages that are available. And if you want those packages, AI, you do, you can pull those packages down. So that's why this is not CF 2026, and there will not be a CF 2026. It's CF 2025 point whatever. Right now it's 0.08, I think, but it'll be 0.0 whatever it is when it finally drops, in case we have an update between now and then. Now, will there be a 2027? Yes. So for 2027, we are going to have to rip out the Tomcat, rip out the Java, upgrade a bunch of the stuff inside of it, things that we cannot do through a simple update. It just simply won't work. You have to download the whole shebang, pull it in, replace it, and do that. So we're going to kind of go back and forth on that. And we do it based on the need that's out there, right? Like we didn't have to, we were able to upgrade and update a bunch of the stuff in place for this one. And we'll be able to do that later this year, hopefully, as well. We can't do that going on forever and ever and ever on there. And it's actually aligning. So it's the same as like Photoshop. Like Photoshop, you generally can just update it over time, but then eventually there's another team working on like a full engine rebuild, and then poof, you've got two Photoshops in your Creative Cloud. Right? You've got 2026 and you've got 2025. That's what I have in mind right now. Right? Now, I don't refer to them with those numbers, though. I just talk about Photoshop, which is that's where we're trying to get to, right? We're trying to make the upgrade and update path seamless, safe, so that all we do is talk about ColdFusion. And the implication there is that you have the latest version, you're running everything, you have access to everything that the engine provides, right? We want to get you there. And I think we've come a long way. It's a lot more stable. We're still, there's still work to do, obviously, from that path. But it's a heck of a lot more stable than when I started. I didn't get much sleep whenever we had an update. At least these days, I can take a weekend vacation and not come back to my entire laptop on fire from stuff. So, anywho, so there you go.
I appreciate if you reach out regarding the reseller and support on that, because it's been an ever living nightmare.
Yeah, message me. We're on Slack. Message me privately and give me the name of your reseller, and I will find someone who will give you definitive answers and who works with EDU, both.
Okay.
So I've got someone that is their specialty. They have a soft spot in their heart for education, as do I. That's why I work really well with them, and they will find you the answers that you're seeking and give you I trust them explicitly and implicitly. So cool. All right. Well, it's getting kind of close, folks. I do need to be zipping around. Was there any other pressing?
There were two quick questions. One from Charlie about support for Windows Server 2025.
It's coming. Yes. Okay, that's a really important one. If you are currently running on that or need to run on it because of security and other concerns, email cfstuff@adobe.com. Tell them that you need the patch and tell them that Mark Takata sent you. There is currently a patch that is available. The next update, this update, will have that support built into it, but since it's still a month or whatever out, we can get you the patch today. So if you need it, it is available. We haven't had a chance to throw it up onto people's machines quite yet, but it is out there and it's been tested. It's good to go. So yes. Okay. Second
And
question.
and the other last one, as far as the availability of the new docs, is that public already, or is that only in the pre-release site?
So the new so there's two sets of documentation. There's the docs in like PDF format that is only on the pre-release site, which is open beta, and you can go there and
And only
download them.
about the pre-release stuff.
But it's only about the pre-release stuff. So there's not like documentation about the new PMT additions and things like that because those aren't part of the beta yet. The docs site, the new guide stuff, is still in testing internally. We don't have access to external folks except specific small groups that are doing a little bit of smoke testing on it. So that is not available yet. The hope is that that goes live when everything drops. We're going to drop everything in your lap, big giant crater where you used to be sitting. Everything will come at once, and hopefully it'll all work.
Great. I think that's the last of the questions. So
Awesome.
thanks again for hosting us.
Yeah, it was fun. Always fun. Always love to see you guys. And again, I love what you do. I'm so glad that you're continuing to raise the flag and keep the ColdFusion user group dream alive. I know it's a lot of work to keep them going, but you're like one of the last out there. So we want to keep supporting you guys. So
ColdFusion OGs here. Well, thanks very much, Mark, for coming.
you're very, very welcome. Let me stop my share. Boop. There we go. Cool. Yeah, no, it was a joy. And it's funny because I got some good practice this morning. So and my voice held. I think that was a concern. I can still talk. I may have to use sign language tonight at my event, but luckily I'm not the one that's speaking. I'm just supporting that event tonight. It's one of my proteges, Obi, is doing a talk on basically it's AI. It's how to understand AI in the context of being a developer and a leader in the development space, and what to do to make sure that you're working with it and not letting it run over you like a pickup truck.
Oh, 5-minute talk he's doing, something like that, right?
It's a long talk, yeah.
Yeah,
It's at a brewery though, so I don't care.
there you go.
So I'll have fun there. All right, folks. It's been a joy. I didn't say so, Nicholas. You mentioned earlier. I didn't say anything that I need to hold back. I didn't say anything that was, whatever. So you can go ahead and publish this and post this out. Feel free to just throw it out there.
Release the Kraken.
There you
Yes,
go.
release the hounds. All right, folks. Well, anyway, I'm gonna pop out. It's
Thank you,
been
Mark.
a joy to see you all, and I'll let you know if I'm coming to Michigan.
Thanks. We look
Sounds
forward to
great.
it.
Thanks again.
See you guys. Bye.
Yes, sir.